Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. Sometimes the greatest shift in your life doesn't come when you try harder, beg longer, or hold on tighter. It comes the very moment you decide to walk away. See, he didn't expect it. He thought you would always be there. He thought you would keep forgiving, keep answering the calls, keep lowering your standards just to make him comfortable. But the day you said enough is enough, the day you chose peace over pain, respect over excuses, that's the day everything changed. Now he's obsessed. Obsessed because silence is louder than begging. Obsessed because your strength hit harder than your tears. Obsessed because he finally realized the very thing he thought he could replace is the very thing he may never find again, you. But here's the truth. You walking away wasn't about him. It was about you. It was about reclaiming your value, about remembering you are not an option. You are the prize. Your worth was never tied to his presence, and it won't disappear because of his absence. Understand this, what you walked away from was not your destiny. It was your distraction. What left your life wasn't your peace. It was the weight holding you back. And now look at you. You're standing taller. You're walking freer. You're shining brighter, not because he's chasing you, not because he's watching you, but because you finally came back to yourself. And once you return to you, once you recognize your power, once you remember your worth, baby, there's no obsession in this world that can stop your elevation. Recognize your value. Let me tell you something right here, because this is where most people miss it. Before you can walk away, before you can level up, before you can demand better, you got to know who you are. You got to recognize your value. See, the problem ain't that he didn't see your worth. The problem is that you forgot yours. Because when you know who you are, when you know what you bring to the table, you don't beg anybody to sit down and eat. You don't chase folks to stay. You don't negotiate your value like you a discount item on a clearance rack. Baby, you the whole boutique. You the one of one. But you got to believe that first. Here's the truth: people treat you the way you allow them to. If you keep giving out discounts, don't be surprised when folks line up expecting the sale price. If you keep letting somebody take without giving, don't be shocked when they keep draining you. The day you recognize your value is the day everything shifts, because you stop operating from desperation and start operating from confidence. And confidence changes the whole game. See, when you don't know your worth, you settle. You take crumbs and call it a meal. You accept excuses and call it love. You wait for callbacks from people who don't even deserve your number. But when you recognize your value, you stop shrinking to fit into places you done outgrown. You stop trying to convince people who can't afford you that you're worth it. You stop handing over your crown to folks who wouldn't even know what to do with it. Let me paint this picture for you. Have you ever walked past a jewelry store and seen that diamond ring in the window? That ring ain't begging you to buy it. It ain't out here chasing customers down the street. It just sits there shining. Why? Because the ring knows its worth. The ring knows it don't need to convince you. It just needs the right buyer who can recognize the value that's already there. That's you. Stop acting like costume jewelry. The mistake so many people make is they wait for someone else to validate them. If he says I'm beautiful, then I'm beautiful. If he chooses me, then I'm enough. If he stays, then I'm worth it. No. Stop outsourcing your self-worth. Your beauty, your strength, your brilliance, your power. That's been stamped on you since day one. Somebody else's inability to see it doesn't change the fact that it's there. You don't lose value because somebody couldn't recognize it. You don't lose value because they walked away. You don't lose value because they didn't choose you. Sometimes people can't afford the level of love, the level of loyalty, the level of greatness you carry. That don't mean you too much. That don't mean you got to dim down. That don't mean you got to beg for scraps just to be loved. No, it means they're not enough for you. It means you operating on a higher level. And when you know your value, You stop trying to drag people up to where you at. You just keep walking, keep shining, keep building until the right people, the ones who can recognize your worth, show up. And let me tell you this, when you finally recognize your value, it's not arrogance, it's not pride, it's ownership. It's saying, I know what I deserve, and I'm no longer available for anything less. That's the energy that makes people obsessed after you walk away, because they thought you needed them. They thought you'd settle for less. But when you stand tall in your value, that's when they realize they lost the very thing they'll never replace. Say the power of walking away. Let me break this down for you, because this right here is the move that changes everything. Walking away. See, most people think the power is in holding on, improving yourself, in waiting for somebody to change. But the real power, the real strength, it shows up the moment you decide to walk away. That's the moment the tables turn. That's the moment everything shifts in your favor. See, when you walk away, you're not just leaving a person. You're leaving behind disrespect, inconsistency, excuses, and the weight that was keeping you small. Walking away says, I finally realize my peace matters more than your chaos. Walking away says, I love myself enough not to beg anybody to love me back. That's power. And that power, once you taste it, changes the way you live. You ever notice how people don't realize what they got until it's gone? That's because your presence became their comfort zone. You was always there, always available, always forgiving. And because you stayed, they thought you'd never leave. But the day you finally pushed that chair back, stood up and said, I'm done. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they get obsessed. Not because you weren't valuable before, but because your absence exposed the truth. They needed you more than you ever needed them. Walking away is not weakness, baby. It's strength in its purest form. Weakness is staying in a place that drains you, praying it'll get better while you slowly lose yourself. Strength is saying, I can't do this no more. I choose me. That choice is heavy, it hurts, it's lonely at first, but it sets you free, and freedom is priceless. Think about it, even God closes doors. He closes them because he knows if he left them open, you'd keep walking in rooms that were never built for you. You'd keep entertaining people who don't deserve your light. You keep staying stuck in spaces where you don't belong. Sometimes the door slams shut. Sometimes it's you who has to turn the key. But either way, the exit is what leads you to your elevation. Here's the funny part. The second you walk away, the same people who didn't answer your calls start calling back. The same people who ignored you start showing up. The same people who thought you were replaceable suddenly act like they can't breathe without you. Why? Because walking away did something your words never could. It showed them you're not afraid to lose them. It showed them you finally see your own worth. And that silence, that strength, is louder than any argument you could have had. But hear me on this. Walking away ain't about making them chase you. It's about making peace with yourself. It's about standing up and saying, I am not for sale at a discount price. I am not available to people who can't honor me. I am not going to spend my life begging for crumbs when I was made to sit at a feast. That's the energy that transforms your life. The power of walking away is not about what they feel. It's about what you reclaim. Your time, your peace, your dignity, your joy. That's why when you finally walk, you don't just leave the table, you build your own. You stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. And the moment you do that, that's when you unlock a whole new level of strength that nobody can take away. The obsession effect. Now let's talk about the obsession effect, because this right here is the funny part. Ain't it crazy how somebody can take you for granted while you're there, treat you like you'll never leave, and the minute you actually walk away, they lose their mind. They start calling, texting, blowing up your phone like they on payroll. They watching your social media like it's Netflix. They asking your friends about you. They showing up in places they ain't never been before just to run into you. That's the obsession effect. And it ain't because you changed, it's because you left. See, while you were there, your love was easy access. Your loyalty was taken for granted. You were giving and giving, and they thought, oh, she'll always be here. He'll always forgive me. They thought you were permanent. But when you finally walked away, when you finally went silent, they realized something: your presence was their comfort. And your absence became their nightmare. The obsession comes because they underestimated your strength. They thought you'd keep chasing, keep proving, keep waiting for them to get it together. But when you didn't, when you finally chose peace over drama, that's when their world flipped upside down. Now they obsessed, not because they love you the right way, but because they shocked that you had the courage to love yourself more. It's like that toy a dog never plays with until you throw it in the trash. Suddenly it's the favorite. That's human nature. People don't always value what's available, but take it away. Now it's priceless. That's why you got to be careful not to confuse obsession with genuine love. Just because they're chasing you now don't mean they changed. Sometimes it just means they missed the benefits of having you. Let me be real with you. The obsession effect is proof of your power. Proof that you were the glue, the backbone, the blessing in that relationship, friendship, or job. When you walked away, you didn't just leave a space. You left a void. A void so big they can't fill it with nobody else. That's why they're checking if you're still single. That's why they suddenly remembering your birthday. That's why they acting like they finally woke up. But don't let their obsession drag you back into the same cycle you just escaped. Because here's the truth: obsession ain't the same as commitment. Obsession ain't the same as respect. Obsession is about them. It's about their shock, their ego, their loss. Love is about you. It's about your peace, your joy, your growth. If they didn't respect your value when you were there, don't mistake their obsession now as proof they finally do. Sometimes all it means is they realize they lost control. And trust me, losing control over somebody they thought they owned, that's what eats them alive. The obsession effect is powerful because it reveals what was hidden. It shows you that you mattered more than they let on. It proves that your absence speaks louder than your words ever could. But don't let it trick you into going backwards, because the same person who couldn't see your worth yesterday can't suddenly redefine your value today. That's your job. That's always been your job. So when they obsessed, let them be obsessed. Let them sit with the regret. Let them learn the hard way. You don't owe them a response. You don't owe them access. You don't owe them your peace, because their obsession is their problem. Your growth, that's your blessing. Guard your peace. Let me tell you something that's more valuable than money, more valuable than diamonds, more valuable than anything else you could chase out here: your peace. Peace is priceless. Peace is the foundation of your joy, your focus, your growth. And if you don't guard it, if you don't protect it like treasure, people will rob you blind, and you won't even realize it until you're empty. See, too many of y'all give away your peace for free. You let folks disturb you, stress you, manipulate you, and then you wonder why you tired all the time, why you anxious, why you can't sleep at night. It's because you gave the wrong people the keys to your mental space. You let people rent a room in your mind and didn't even charge them rent. And worse, they tearing up the furniture while they in there. Baby, you gotta evict some folks. Guard your peace. Now here's the thing: guarding your peace don't mean you don't love people. It means you love yourself enough to say, I can't let you keep disturbing my spirit. Everybody can't have access to you. Everybody don't deserve a front row seat in your life. Some people belong in the balcony, and some people don't belong in the building at all. And the older you get, the more you realize peace to popularity, peace toy company, peace drama. You ever notice how when you finally walk away from toxic situations, suddenly you start sleeping better? You start laughing again. You start glowing. That's the proof right there. Peace shows up in your body. Peace shows up in your energy. Peace shows up in your smile. Stress makes you sick, but peace makes you shine. That's why you can't keep trading it away for the sake of keeping people around. And let me hit you with this. Guarding your peace also means learning the power of no. Some of y'all exhausted because you keep saying yes to everybody. Yes to people who drain you. Yes to situations that break you. Yes to things that don't even align with your spirit. And now you're running on empty, wondering why you got nothing left for yourself. Let me free you right now. No is a full sentence. You don't owe no explanation when it comes to protecting your peace. I'll tell you something else. Guarding your peace means guarding your environment. You can't live peaceful if you keep surrounding yourself with chaos. You can't pray for calm, but then keep entertaining people who thrive on drama. If every time they call, your blood pressure goes up, that's your sign. If every time they leave, you breathe easier, that's your sign. Protect your energy. Stop volunteering for battles you don't even need to fight. And don't think peace is just silence. Peace ain't just about cutting people off. Peace is a lifestyle. It's how you treat yourself when nobody's watching. It's the way you speak to yourself when you make a mistake. It's what you allow yourself to consume, what you watch, what you listen to, who you follow. Peace is in your habits. You can't say you want peace, but keep feeding yourself negativity all day long. Peace is intentional. You build it, then you guard it. Because here's the truth. When you guard your peace, you also guard your power. You become unshakable. Folks can throw shade, folks can walk away, folks can gossip, but you still steady, still smiling, still glowing. That's the kind of strength people can't figure out. And that's why they obsessed. Because once you got peace, baby, you already won. Don't settle for attention, demand respect. Now let me break this one down for you, because this is where a lot of people get tricked. Don't you ever settle for attention when what you really deserve is respect. See, attention is easy. Attention is cheap. Anybody can give you attention. That's attention. That's attention. A good morning text every now and then. That's attention. A half-hearted compliment when they feel guilty. That's attention. Respect is deeper. Respect is consistent. Respect is action, not just words. The problem is too many of y'all are starving for attention, so you keep accepting crumbs and calling it love. He texts you once every 2 weeks, and suddenly your whole week lit up. She shows you off on Instagram, but treats you like an option behind closed doors, and you calling it loyalty. No, baby, that ain't loyalty, that's performance. Don't get blinded by the spotlight of attention and miss out on the substance of respect. See, respect is when they show up for you without you having to beg. Respect is when they protect your name even when you're not in the room. Respect is when they treat you the same in private as they do in public. Anybody can flash you some attention when they want something, but respect requires character. Respect requires sacrifice. Respect requires seeing your worth and honoring it, even when it's not convenient. Let me make it plain. Flowers are nice. Dates are nice. Compliments are nice. But if they talking sweet to you and lying behind your back, that ain't respect. If they posting you on social media, but embarrassing you in real life, that ain't respect. If they calling you baby, but not giving you commitment, that ain't respect. Don't confuse temporary gestures for lasting honor. Here's where you got to check yourself. If you keep accepting attention, don't be surprised when that's all people give you. Because the standard you set is the standard they'll follow. You teach people how to treat you. If you reward them for crumbs, they'll never give you the full meal. If you clap every time they throw you the bare minimum, they'll never give you the maximum. So stop selling yourself short. Demand respect. And when I say demand, I don't mean beg. Respect ain't something you scream for. It's something you embody. It's in the way you carry yourself. It's in the boundaries you set. It's in the way you say, no, I'm not settling for this because I know I deserve better. When you respect yourself, it commands others to respect you too. People can't give you what you refuse to give yourself. You ever notice how when you finally stop entertaining foolishness, suddenly folks call you different? They say you changed. No, you didn't change. You just stopped tolerating nonsense. You stopped accepting attention in place of respect. And let me tell you, the day you make that switch is the day you elevate your whole life, because attention fades, respect lasts. Attention is about the moment. Respect is about the long run. Attention makes somebody chase you for a night. Respect makes them honor you for a lifetime. And when you learn the difference, you stop falling for the temporary and you start demanding the permanent. That's when you move from being treated like an option to being treated like the prize you are. Build a new you after walking away. See, here's the part people don't always talk about. Walking away ain't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a brand new one. Because when you finally get the courage to leave behind what was breaking you, you don't just create distance, you create space. Space for growth, space for healing, space for the new version of you that was waiting to be born. A lot of people stay stuck because they're scared of the empty space that comes after walking away. They think, if I leave him, if I leave her, if I quit this job, if I cut off these friends, what do I have left? But let me tell you something, you got you. And that's more than enough. You had yourself before they showed up, and you'll have yourself after they're gone. And when you turn that energy back inward, when you invest in you, that's when you start building a new you. Think about it like this. You ever seen a snake shed its skin? It looks uncomfortable, it looks messy, but it's necessary. Because that old skin can't stretch to fit the new growth. That's you after walking away. You got to shed the old version of yourself that tolerated less, that accepted excuses, that played small just to keep people happy. That version of you can't go where God is trying to take you. You need new skin, new strength, new confidence. And here's the good part. Once you start building a new you, everything changes. You start walking different. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand you in the first place. You start pouring energy into your goals, your dreams, your health, your faith. And suddenly the glow hits different. Not because somebody's loving you better, but because you're loving yourself better. That's the glow up nobody can deny. I'll tell you this, when you build a new you, people will notice. The same ones who doubted you, who left you, who thought you'd fall apart without them, they're going to see you rising. They're going to see you happier, healthier, stronger. And that's when the obsession grows even louder. But here's the key, don't build the new you for them. Don't rebuild yourself as a way to get revenge or to prove a point. Build because you owe it to yourself. Build because you deserve it. Build because you got one life, and it's too short to stay stuck in the version of you that was tied to pain. Building a new you after walking away is about upgrading. Upgrading your standards, your mindset, your circle. You stop keeping company with folks who drain you, and you start surrounding yourself with people who inspire you. You stop waiting for someone to choose you, and you start choosing yourself every single day. You stop letting fear decide your future, and you start letting faith lead the way. That's how you level up. And let me tell you something about God. He don't let you walk away from something unless he got something better lined up. That's why you can't stay crying over closed doors. The blessing wasn't behind the door you left. It's in the new one you're about to walk through. But you can't step into it if you're still dragging around the old you. That's why building a new you is non-negotiable. So when you walk away, don't just leave, transform, rebuild yourself. Reinvent yourself, invest in yourself. Because the new you, that's the version they never saw coming. That's the version they can't play with. That's the version that doesn't just survive after walking away, but thrives. Keep your standards high. Now let me tell you something that'll save you a whole lot of heartbreak. Keep your standards high. Don't you dare lower your bar just because somebody else keeps tripping over it. If they can't reach it, That's their problem. It ain't your job to lower it. Because the moment you drop your standards, you drop yourself. See, people love to test you. They'll give you the bare minimum just to see if you'll accept it. And if you clap for crumbs, they'll never bring you the feast. If you cheer for inconsistency, they'll never give you commitment. You got to train people how to treat you, and the training starts with your standards. Let me break it down. Attention ain't standards. A good morning text ain't standards. Somebody buying you food one time ain't standards. Standards are about consistency. Standards are about respect. Standards are about alignment with who you are and where you're going. Don't confuse little gestures with big character. Now here's the danger. When you get tired of waiting, when you get scared of being alone, that's when you start lowering the bar. You start telling yourself, well, at least he calls sometimes. Well, at least she posts me on Instagram. No, at least is the language of settling. You are not a discount. You are not an afterthought. You are the prize, and prizes don't beg to be chosen. Keeping your standards high is not